If conservation has a starting point, it's monitoring. In the words of the wise Joni Mitchell, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. Monitoring is about trying to know what you've got before it's gone.
To brush my hair. So how common is a common bird? The birds you see all the time, you have no clue how common they are. So if you were to lose half of them, would anyone notice? And the answer is no. But my job is to notice that.
He notices these things through monitoring, which is the process of counting, tracking, and mapping species. And the best way for him to do so is, fittingly, by flying. Yet it wasn't always this easy, as technology has changed in recent years.
1982, this is what we used. We had field notebooks, Environment Canada. They were bilingual, Carnet de Travail, field notebook, and you have these little square things and you write your data on that. The beauty of these things that they fit in your pocket. Everyone carried them, and people like me have bookshelves that are completely filled with collections of field notebooks. At some point, I guess, we discovered that clipboards existed, so we actually had clipboards with data sheet, and then we went from being able to put data in a pocket to writing things on these different clipboards. Now, after decades of trial and error, is this little machine here, this stuff book. And basically what it has is a series of base maps, of habitat maps in that case, that are contoured. This is the land, and you can see the altitude. And you can actually set beforehand transect, which are these green lines, or you can use them as track logs. It tells you where you are. And each of the blue dots on that map is basically a bird sighting. So we fly all the areas in green, and each of those is a bird recording.
Wetland, 1.2 hectare, mallard male. Wetland, 3+ hectare, Barrow's golden eye pair.
So right now, the technology is such that when we do a bird survey, when I do a bird survey, there is no paper involved whatsoever. Everything is digital. So this is kind of the state of the art of bird survey technology. Basically, I spend all my time looking out the window to look at birds, identify them, and count them.
Monitoring doesn't require every bird flight, death, or birth to be tracked. Instead, every time one of these instances is noticed, the information about a small population sample is expanded to help paint the bigger picture. In Vancouver, we learnt that during each day of the fall migration season, about 70 birds die as a result of window collisions at my university campus alone. Obviously, this is a way bigger number than most people would guess, and the only reason that anyone notices the deaths is because of monitoring. Knowing more about these collisions can help lead to more bird-friendly architecture and building codes. But this isn't the only way to monitor. In fact, it was easy to see that lots of effort is put into monitoring, and that there are many methods to do so. Several coffees and a few hundred kilometers east of Vancouver, we arrived in the sunny and dry Okanagan Valley, where we learned that birds can be outfitted with devices that allow scientists to track them over long distances and great periods of time. This answers questions about where birds go and when, something that I assumed would already be basic scientific knowledge, but has often remained a mystery, even to the experts. Rather than seeing the unknown as a problem, however, many of the people we talked to saw it as an opportunity.
One really interesting piece of advice I had was about 10 years ago by one of the senior U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service officials in the Pacific Coast, and his comment to me was, what makes you or breaks you in the business of conservation, in bird conservation, is not what you know, is how you handle what you don't know.
So monitoring provides us this baseline indication of how healthy the populations are. Research is more when you ask a question about why.